Peace and love, my friends. Welcome to our Wednesday morning meditation practice. It's evening for you if you're watching by recording. I'm waiting for, there it was, the flash. Peace and love, my friends who are here live and those who are here by recording. Today, we're going to continue our little talk about the Yoga Sutras and the result of a meditation practice, of a Kriya Yoga meditation practice. It really does have an impact. It makes one susceptible to mystical experience. So today we're going to talk a bit about Yoga Sutras 147, 48, 49. Hey, Judith, good morning. I subtitled this to myself, How to Shine or Becoming Wise. So in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali talks about nirvichara samadhi. And you don't have to memorize these words. What it means is that meditation of a single-minded style, mind and breath in lock together, leads to a superconscious state or an absorption without reflection. Most of the time when we're meditating, whether we're using an image of light in our chest, for instance, or you're meditating on an object that's exterior to you, like a candle, or you're using a chant, which is my favorite. I use the chant all the time. And when the mind begins to absorb light in those normal stages process, the mind is pretty much present in that. So when we're contemplating something, we're thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about all the different aspects of it, or we're just bringing our mind back to our mantra over and over again, our mind is still very present. And when the light comes, it's sort of like we become a mirror. And so the light kind of bounces, reflects on the mirror of ourselves. But there's this state, nirvichara samadhi, that occurs when the mirror becomes clear and the light passes through, and there's essentially, and this is not completely true, essentially no witness to the experience itself, but there's this thing where you're observing what's happening but not processing the information that's coming in. You just call it a super witness state, where the mind stuff, the memories, the understandings, the self-understanding of who you are, and the accumulation of the action and experience and knowledge and education and everything that happens to you emotionally, that becomes clear and the light passes through into you. So nirvichara samadhi is the state of being, which meditation leads to, of superconscious absorption. In this state of superconscious absorption, the divine presence becomes reality for us. That's a big statement, but that's what happens. So I'm going to read a couple translations here of 1.47. Upon reaching the superconscious absorption, the ultimate self, the real self, without reflection, inquiry, or investigation, the mind becomes pure. So in this state of meditation, where the mind stops thinking, completely stops thinking, there's a clarity of self that allows the light to pass through. And as soon as thought comes, you're out. That's just the way it works. And that works that way not only in meditation, but in the actual out-of-body mystical experiences that this leads to. It makes us susceptible. It makes us permeable to the light. That's why meditation matters so much. It makes us permeable to the superconsciousness itself. When we step aside, when we're not in the way anymore, when there's this space between the musical notes, that's when we touch into the divine itself. And the meditation practice makes us susceptible to this. And there's this thing that happens in meditation, this nirvichara samadhi, but there's another kind of nirvichara samadhi. And that is when the mind so much is not in the way that one has essentially an either indwelling experience of the presence of the light itself that supersedes all conscious thought or an out of body experience where something similar happens, where there is no brain of you in the way of what you're experiencing. And you're witnessing it, but you're not um, contemplating it and you're not thinking about it and as soon as one thinks, you're out. So what happens when after this nirvichara samadhi happens, uh, after attaining non-reflective superconsciousness, non-reflective, so you're not thinking about it, superconsciousness, the presence of the divine, the yogi is automatically filled with wisdom of truth. And so there's this thing that happens where in this higher state, and that's why it's not just in meditation. It's the little moments in meditation for sure. But those little moments can expand into this superconscious state where there is no filter between you and the divine. Where it's not no filter because there's still like a pane of glass. There's still a person, but not an identity. I don't know how to say this. It's super difficult to talk about. But the result is this. And you know that the result, that you can tell that this has happened because of the result. And the result is the yogi becomes filled with wisdom of truth. And it's not something that you learn, it's something that is. It's not a knowledge of the head. The knowledge gained from inference and the study of scripture in the next sutra, such as knowledge of this kind that we're talking about, knowledge gained from absorption is very different than knowledge gained from a book or conversation or YouTube videos. It can only be attained when the mind is not present. And the only way to do that is to stop the thought process, which is the purpose of meditation. So, the purpose of meditation of all these different types that the Yoga Sutras talk about, and you can go back to the previous videos to see what those are, or if you've been following along and you've been meditating in your life anyway, consistent and regular practice leads to this state of being. That's what Patanjali is telling us. And I'll tell you from my personal experience that this is true. These practices, they lead to superconscious absorption. I know because it happened to me. I didn't attain superconscious absorption. I attained the mastery of my meditation, which made me vulnerable or susceptible or permeable to divine grace that then caused this to happen. I didn't do it, okay? What I did do was learn to control and master my mind. And that allows this other thing to happen. And it didn't take a heck of a long time. It took about 6 years. That's not a long time. When I was working with AI this morning trying to get a title, I've got this program that helps me choose titles inside of YouTube, and it was saying, "Attain super consciousness, master super consciousness," as the most likely that's gonna get the views, but it's not a mastery of super consciousness. The AI does not understand. There's no mastery of this because in this experience, there's no master to have. I'm not even there. How can I master something when I'm not present? I can witness this in this particular level of samadhi, and there's another one we're gonna cover next week, which is the higher level where there is absolutely zero witness to it, but we'll get to that. This knowledge has a different scope. Its object of understanding is singularness. It's one. It's this wave that wipes away all the other things, and it affixes itself directly in the person. This is the reason why it never goes away. It doesn't you c Once this happens, the perspective shifts so drastically, the transformation is so complete that it never stops being the primary point of view. It can't, because now even the mind knows, even the brain knows that the soul is supersedent, is that the right word? Over and above, primary. In the state of superconscious absorption, the light becomes who you are. And in this way, it heals everything. It doesn't stop problems in life or emotions from arising still being a human being, that happens. But one never escapes the understanding of the primacy of the soul. And that makes life easier. It makes life simpler, more simple. Simpler. That's not a word. I made that up, I guess. More simple. So taken all together, these 3 sutras, they clear the mind. There is a purity of mind that occurs. And the purity isn't like, oh, he's so virtuous. That's not what it is. It's the purity and the clarity of mind is the empty spaces that develop as a result of a meditative practice, a dedicated meditative practice. It doesn't have to be hours a day. It can be 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. But that dedicated practice accumulates in the brain matter through plasticity changes that allows this space to open, that makes one vulnerable, susceptible, permeable to divine grace, that brings this absorption of the presence of the divine itself into a living experience that's ongoing and changes everything around you, everything in you. It leads to this capacity of being in the state without reflection on the state. And all these meditative practices we have, we're reflecting in some way through imagination, through language, through physical, when we're just practicing with our physical body, through the asanas that we practice. All of those have a sense of self to them, but there's this state of being which opens in meditation and allows this larger state to occur, where the space between the notes, the empty space, becomes the thing itself. And in that state is where wisdom is. And wisdom, this is why humility matters so much, because this wisdom, the yogi knows intrinsically that the wisdom isn't theirs. The wisdom doesn't belong to me. It's not mine. I'm simply getting out of the way of the presence enough that it allows itself to become alive inside of me in an ongoing permanent situation that allows the light to be seen wherever I go, inside and out. This state of superconscious absorption happened in a flash for me, happens in flashes for me, but it leaves this residual wisdom. I know that the wisdom's not mine. I didn't earn it. My brain didn't produce it. I'm simply getting out of the way of it. And the techniques to do so are available to everybody. Anybody can use these tools, the tools in the Yoga Sutras, or any other kind of meditative practice that you want, wherein you are not the subject of the meditation. Where meditation isn't about life control. It's about life self-surrender. It's the opposite of trying to gain control of my life. But, oddly, it does give that too. Not control like I'm in charge of the moment to moment, but control like it attracts things to me because its own will. This is what Jesus was talking about. Thy will be done on earth, here now, as it is in heaven. He didn't tell us a whole lot of how to do it, but the Yoga Sutras do. So, this is the place that the mind cannot go. That's the problem with all thought. The mind cannot go here because there is no space for the brain in heavens. All right. I hope that was helpful. Let me know. Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Ken. The space between the notes. And that's what meditation's really like. Kristen, thanks for saying that. That's what meditation's really like. It's like a skipping from note to note with the mind in order. That's our control and our breath. And then there's spaces in between. That's why we pause at the top of the breath and the bottom of the breath, because it emphasizes that space. So pause, pause. One becomes much more aware of one's physical body, breath, and mind and control, and it opens that space. So I hope that was helpful. We're going to do a little Om Japa this morning, a little meditation with feeling the vibration in our chest and in our throat. Oh, go as low as you can. Oh, and notice. Oh, it's just opening and closing the lips. And so there's a physicality to the practice of Om Japa. And then once you practice this for a little bit, maybe 5 or 6 breaths and get that vibration going, go down into your belly. And if you're a beginner, just rise up to your third eye, or just breathe out your nose and follow your breath and have a chant: peace, love, light. I use a combination nowadays of the Om and Jesus prayer, and just repeat it over and over again. If you're an intermediate, you've been practicing with me for quite a while, maybe you want to stack, bring your breath down to your root, bring your breath up to your navel, up to your solar plexus, up to your heart, to your throat, and kind of stack them in this sort of swishy sort of way, one after the other. And this is a practice of using your breath and your mind and your chakras, not trying to imagine them, just trying to be in the presence of them. By placing your mind inside your physical body, you're still in the singleness practice, because it's always singleness. This whole idea of multitasking is crazy, because you never do anything at once, 3 things at once. You're always doing one thing in a sequence. That's the way the brain works. And this is controlling the sequence. And so by controlling the sequence, you stay on the singular. And the singular is the breath and the body and the chant. Okay, I hope that's helpful, my friends. Maybe I covered too much. Maybe I didn't. Peace and love. I have an alarm set. We have a little less time this morning because I talked on, but let's get to it, because I want my meditation time. I hope you do too. Move my mic away a little bit so that you don't have to listen to my nasal breathing when I meditate. Breathing in, feet flat on the floor, into my root. Filling my lungs, my belly. Yeah, I forgot to do that too. Sorry. Unbuckle the belt. Loosen the waist up. You need that belly space. Now feel the vibration and bring it into your own practice. Relax your shoulders. Engage your breath and your chant in your body on your own. Thanks for being here this morning. Peace and love, everyone. I hope that was helpful. Let me know. See you Sunday.